Hey guys and gals, Never here from Drake Wing Gaming, and something mounts Twitter, the Gaming Dragon. Today I'm coming back at you with a Let's Play episode of Heroes Advent, Kody's Path. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump right back in, shall we? Alarm saying you were up, and let's go. The escort had been generally uneventful. The Aegis Company had taken pains to ensure the route wasn't intercepted, but they spared no expense. Not that it did us any good in the end. What do you mean in the end? It was my fault, Cassian. I'm the reason the team disbanded, because of my mistake. Alex's parents are dead. That's not true. You can't take the blame for a mission gone wrong. The bear looked to you, his eyes fogged over in memory, seemingly looking through you. His eyes darted to yours for the briefest moment. He reached for his jug, taking a heavy swig to wet his parched throat. We had passed the crossroads to Firenze along the Venezia main road. The sun had just turned orange, signaling twilight on the horizon. Max had hailed us to stop and set up camp. We were in the middle of discussing the best place for encampment when it happened. Against the light of the fading sun, three creatures were upon us. They moved with such speed their lumbering sizes that we acted at once. Max fired at them with his crossbow, scattering their formation, keeping the hooves from being startled. Alex was taken aback and stumbled with his electric field. It didn't give Ryer enough time to get into position. The beast flanked either side of the wagons, deformed carcasses that reeked of nether. Bodies coated in chitinous black crystals upon stolen bones and rotting flesh. They were nothing like the slime creature we fought on the day of the festival. Perhaps we should have stood a chance if they were... They had immediately targeted the cargo, toppling the wagons and devouring the crystals within. Our interests were in protecting the Aegis leaders, Alex's parents. We engaged them as we would any other threat, wary of the potential corruptive nature of their fangs and claws. Maxwell and Alexander guarded the rear, raining ice and lightning from afar, while Raymond and I engaged them in close quarters, making attempts to recover what little cargo we could from their gullets. I don't know how, but we had keyed in on those first three that we couldn't tell them apart from the others that joined the fray amid the chaos. Kody paused to take another gulp of water, his breathing becoming ragged as his tale wore on. It was Lady Aegis who would unfortunately make this realization first. She was not a fighter, much like Alex's lab assistant. She was more adept with handling crystal structures. She could assist in maintaining the stability of everyone's focus gems under the extensive use we put them through. It was this level of concentration that prevented her from noticing the creature behind her open its gaping maw, ensnaring her arm and pulling her off the carriage. Lord Pyridus was the second to fall, attempting to save his wife. Two more of those beasts ambushed him, tearing into his flesh. Alex's yells sound so much like those of his father. At that point, the carriage was lost. Max pulled away, crying Alex, still trying to get his focus gem to work as Rye set the carriage ablaze with the wretches still on it. I don't remember much after that. Even reliving those memories for the past years, it remains hazy. Rye and I had put up barriers of stone and flame, left in a standoff against them. Two beasts for each of us, and Alex was unable to fight. One of them managed to get through our bulwarks, and had targeted Alex. It happened in a flash. Rye was upon the beast, obscene maw held shut by both daggers, and after that, all I could see was red. I pounded the beast to a pulp. Whatever its hide was made of, it didn't break, but I could feel its innards crack under the weight of my fists. And I just kept going. The next thing I knew, Maxwell had thrown me to the ground, crossbow trained on me. The bellows and wails of Alex pulling desperately away from Rye. Max told me that in my rage I had bested or incapacitated a bulk of the creatures. The rest picked off by them are retreating with what little of the gems I got away with. Good lord. But it was not only the creatures I had killed. Somehow I had reduced Lady Aegis and Lord Pyridus to paste. Kody paused to clear his throat, his expression mildly nauseous. If the real thing were even a quarter as he described it, it would even be hard for you to stomach that memory as well. Kody began to hyperventilate as the first few tears formed around his eyes, mouth flapping as he struggled to find the words. In the end, we had to cut our losses. It had become dark. The wolves had been scared away or eaten in the scuffle. Any surviving ones that began to develop dark crystals were executed and burned upon a pyre. As we did with the remains of his parents, their remains. They would not last the rest of the journey on foot, and so they were burned in a funeral pyre. The next day, we forced march back to Crystal Coast to inform Guildmaster Alec of the grave news. Poor Alex. He He only had the long march back to Morn. Upon returning as the lone heir to the Aegis Corporation, he was to take on the mantle of leadership. He left the team after that, working with the crystal technicians in the research tower. Max had split off from us as well. With the deaths of the two of the biggest figures in the community, their blood was on our hands. The amount of reports he had to fill was unlike anything I'd ever seen him have to do. As for me and Rai, he spent every day trying to convince me that it wasn't my fault. I kept telling him that I had done it. That he didn't need to lie to me, but he kept insisting. I started putting distance between us. I started apprenticing at the honeysuckle. I didn't think I could put these hands to good use anymore. Rai understood, and eventually he let me be. He would still come around to try and chat with me, inviting me out like he always did. I would tell him I couldn't, that I was busy. Even on the nights the previous owner didn't even ask me to stay. During that time, I heard he was spending time with Alex. By that point, he had taken to him. Not in the same way he did the others. He stood by him, like he stood by me, I think. I think he wanted to help. And the rest I think you can piece together for yourself. The team was divided, and we never got back together. Uh-oh.
A remarkable retelling, Dima.
Alex!
No wonder your work in the kitchen is nearly legendary. Emphasis on the near.
Kody was still too taken aback by the Lynx's sudden intrusion to come up with a response, visibly reeling from the realization that the conversation had been eavesdropped.
What's it to you? Lynx got your tongue?
Kody continued to sputter and stammer.
I suppose it did. Well, I did. Alex. Cassian, if you don't mind my interruption here, I can fill in the missing pieces for you. The part Kody can't remember, you mean? Precisely.
Alex, please, you don't have to.
No, I insist. From everything I heard, it sounds like this was something I should have said some time ago. My apologies, Kody. All because I opted for silence, that it had left you tormented for so long like this. It's true, I had frozen up at the time. I couldn't concentrate enough to use my foci to cast my magic. It was Rai that had saved my life in that moment, and Kody finishing it off. I was too scared to move in the moment, even in the most brainless combat maneuvers. I had never witnessed Kody so fierce. He tore through his own stone barriers. We thought he had gone mad, taking the beast on his own. Through the hole in the wall, Kody created a bottleneck for them. Ray and Max provided support from above, and I just sat there, shell-shocked. By the time the last Nethercool was vanquished, the caravan was left in cinders. Ray tended to Kody, who remained in berserk for a while. Max and I went out to seek my mother and father. They were still alive, if barely. I ran in without thinking. I was just relieved to see them still alive. And that's when...
Rip!
I felt my mother's claws rake over my back, tearing my uniform. I let out a cry. I was confused. I heard Ray call out my name, and then Kody pushed past me and attacked my mother.
Alex,
Please, not a word, Dimitri. Had it not been for you, it would have had to been one of us.
What do you mean?
The reason my mother attacked me was because she had been overtaken by the corruption. We still don't know what causes corruption after doing battle with the Nether Beast, nor if any remedy can be made for it. All we've known is that the Guardian Crystal neutralizes its spread. The bite my mother sustained in her arm had contaminated her, the bite visibly bruised and showing signs of MRD, mutant resonance degradation. I don't like the sound of that. It's a lot more painful than it sounds, believe you me.
Indeed it is. You know about this too, Kody? Yes, it was part of the Academy's seminars. The simplest way to put it is a type of poison.
A fast-acting poison, in layman's terms.
Coffee's done. Water time.
All magic is through resonance. Typically, our natural resonance can affect the elements of nature. But we cannot affect elements that are not of our resonant frequency. Which is why your ability to resonate with others, despite your native element, is so fascinating. Nether does not work that way. It relies on disrupting the natural elemental wavelengths and everything. With the injuries they had sustained, their resonance was unraveling.
Unraveling? Cody's voice was incredulous, giving the Lynx his full attention. Was that not in the seminars? It was, but generally the symptoms don't show up until weeks later. The onset is always slow. That's why I was convinced that they couldn't have turned so quickly.
The onset has always been slow because the damage sustained was never great enough to overtake the body's natural frequency. Just like the body can heal from scrapes and scratches, most of the nether afflictions were realigned by the body's own rhythms. The injuries my parents sustained were anything but trivial. The effect was quicker on their magi than it was on their bodies, which is why we didn't notice right away. If you hadn't put her down, one of the others would have. Guild Code of Ethics.
But that means... But Max, and you were...
Max threw you down and prepared an ice bolt to hold you in place until you calmed down.
It wasn't because I tried to kill you too?
The Link shook his head.
And you were crying because...
Because I was naive. Because I thought we still could have saved them. These past 2 years researching the Nether infected has cured me of that notion.
So that means... It wasn't my fault?
It had never been your fault. Can't you see how hard Ray tried to convince you?
Yes, but...
His excuses, or any that he might have come up with, died on his tongue under Lynx's glare.
Then Alex, you don't blame me for their deaths?
Maker's mercy, you dumb bear. I never implied any of that to begin with.
And Rye?
Nuh-uh. I'm not speaking for him. You ask him yourself. I can't believe it was that simple, and yet you two are so stupid.
Huh?
And he phases out of reality. Alex continued to mutter and berate Kody under his breath as he stomped back to the Akai. Aw. Well, I guess that's that.
Huh. Well, I do think you're right. We should start preparing to butcher...
Kody? I had no idea.
And that's all there was to it. All of our lives upended in a single evening.
Kody, thank you for telling me. You were at a loss for what to say. If what he said was true, there wasn't much solace you could offer for the guilt that he had. The sound of his footsteps caught your attention as he approached you to give you a brief embrace.
Thanks, Cassian. I needed that. Oh. Maybe I can build the courage to...
The sound of the rustling grass catches your attention as Max and Ray return to camp with triumphant, bloody smiles on their faces.
We got the meat. Double if you think you can handle it. Mm-hmm. Welcome back. Whoa, those are some impressive catches.
Max handed over a large humpback creature, which you could vaguely identify as a Boryx. He held back a laugh, wondering if that was all the Malamute ate.
A Boryx and an Oxeer. That is enough for dinner, breakfast, and a little extra for the pantry.
You couldn't tell too well what the other beast was supposed to be, already skinned and gutted when Ray placed it down in front of you. Alright, I'm actually going to pause it right there. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell. I love you all, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye-bye!